This video does not replace the installation and operating instructions. It only generally outlines the steps that must be taken when installing and operating the door. Detailed instructions, fitting diagrams and recommendations are provided in the installation and operating instructions and in the door report brochure, which are provided with the product. Installation of the UMAKOV Pro Alu Invis sectional door with STL standard track solution. This door is equipped with an automatic drive unit. The UMAKOV Pro Invis series doors can be fixed to brick walls, steel structures, or to ferro-concrete walls. The walls and the floor of the room where the door is to be installed should be completely finished. The walls must not have any faults, and the floor near the bottom seal should be level and adequately shaped to ensure free water runoff. The room should be dry and free of any chemicals that might damage the paint coating. The Wisnowski UMAKOV Pro Invis sectional door with an automatic drive unit consists of the following components: the door leaf, the vertical and horizontal tracks, the reel shaft with springs, cable tensioners, fitting accessories, the automatic drive unit. Before the installation, check the dimensions of the door opening in which the door is to be installed. Measure its height, width, diagonals, and floor level. Compare your measurements with the dimensions of the ordered door. If your measurements match the ordering dimensions, begin the installation procedure. Place the vertical track set on the floor. Push the side weathering seals onto the side frame sections. Using bolts, fix the spring and shaft support brackets to the side frame sections. Connect both side frame sections using the connector bar to create a complete door frame. Position the door frame on the wall where the door opening is. Use clamps to temporarily fix the door frame to the wall. Make sure that both sides of the frame are placed symmetrically. Check that the side sections of the frame are vertically positioned. Perform a control measurement at the top and the bottom ends of the frame by placing a measure tape inside the corners of the frame. Make sure that the spacing between the side sections of the frame is the same at the top and at the bottom. Mark the position of the frame sections on the wall to facilitate their repositioning later on. If the door is equipped with the center shaft support, mark the location where it is to be mounted. To do this, use the frame connector bar and mark auxiliary lines. Mark out all the drilling locations. Remove the frame to perform drilling. Drill holes at the marked points and position the plugs using a hammer. Having removed the frame, you can now finish the marking of the location where the center shaft support is to be fixed. Reposition the frame and fix it against the wall using bolts. Remove the connector bar which was initially used to obtain the correct distance between the vertical tracks. Fix the center shaft support to the lintel. Now install the horizontal tracks. Make sure that the edges are aligned at the point where the vertical and the horizontal tracks are connected. Perform the same operation on the other side of the door. Connect the ends of the horizontal tracks using the provided assembly plates. Temporarily attach ceiling brackets to the horizontal tracks. In order to determine the diagonals, measure the diagonal of one of the horizontal tracks by attaching the tape measure in the hole of the support bracket. Determine the length of the diagonal in accordance with the product completion card provided in the length of diagonal for inverse door section. Mark out the locations for holes to be drilled in the ceiling, a steel structure in this case. Drill the holes and fix the horizontal track brackets to the ceiling. Find the horizontal track inclination angle in the installation and operating instructions. Fix the remaining ceiling brackets. Use bracket supports to reinforce the structure and make it more rigid. There's a hole at the top section of the frame. It marks the location where a hole must be drilled in the horizontal track and where both parts should be connected with a screw. Now begin the assembly of the real shaft. Slide onto the shaft the spring breakage prevention device, the winding drum, the spacer ring, and the bearing. At the other end of the same shaft, slide on the bearing with the spacer ring. Position the spring and the drum in accordance with the guidelines in the installation and operating instructions. Now install the shaft. Use the screws to temporarily attach both bearings to prevent the shaft from falling out of the support brackets. Find the length of the suspension cable in the product completion card. On the cable, mark the required length, measuring it from the middle of the thimble. Place the cable on the winding drum at the marked point and fix it by tightening the screw. Repeat the same operation on the other side. In order to facilitate the assembly of the shaft in larger doors, it's divided into two parts. Use the coupler with a key to connect both sections. Make sure that the shaft coupler is symmetrically positioned. Now assemble the individual parts that were earlier slid onto the shaft. Use the steel key to connect the drum with the shaft. Do the same with the spring breakage prevention device. Using bolts, fix the breakage prevention device to the spring and shaft support bracket. If the spring breakage prevention device is correctly installed, the protective catch pole is in the upper position. Attach the torsion spring to the breakage prevention device. Having assembled all the parts of the shaft, check all the connections and clean the whole assembly. Attach the suspension cable to the cable breakage prevention device and mount the guide roller. Repeat the same procedure for the other device. Now begin the assembly of the door leaf. Start with the bottom panel, featuring the threshold seal. Slide the cable breakage prevention devices onto the tracks and bolt them to the first panel. Repeat the same procedure on the other side. Connect the first and the second panels using the side and the center hinges. Attach the side hinge support brackets with rollers to the side hinges. The first panel roller is equipped with a spacer ring. Do the same on the other side. Using the screws, temporarily attach the center hinges. In order to obtain the correct spacing between the panels, use the provided cardboard spacers. Install the remaining panels. Install the final top panel. Attach the cable tensioner to the horizontal tracks. Attach the cable tensioner roller to the frame. Make sure the tensioner roller cable protection device is positioned without any possibility of a collision. Drill a hole at the edge of the winding drum for the tensioner cable. Fix the end of the tensioner cable and install it in the winding drum. Wind the cable onto the drum, making sure that there is at least one free coil between the main cable and the tensioner cable. Temporarily mark on the tensioner approximately 2/3 of the length of the tensioner track and thread the cable through the roller attached to the tensioner spring. Stretch the spring up to the mark point and use a clamp to temporarily fix the tensioner at the marked location. Thread the end of the cable through the roller of the tensioner. Make a loop at the end of the cable and fix it using a cable clamp. Insert the guide roller through the loop and attach it to the side hinge of the top panel. Release the tensioner spring. Now tension the torsion springs using the steel bars. Be extremely cautious when tensioning the springs. The person who performs this operation should stand beside the springs so that neither the bars nor the spring are in front of him. Tension the springs performing approximately 1/4 of a turn at a time until you reach the required value. The number of turns required to tension the spring is indicated on the data plate of the door. In the case of the door shown here, it is 9 turns. The number of turns is indicated by the number of markers formed by the stripes of paint on the spring during the tensioning procedure. One stripe corresponds to 1 turn. Block the spring drum using the key and fix it by tightening the screws. Repeat the same procedure for the other spring. Having tensioned the springs, remember to unblock the spring breakage prevention devices by removing the pins. Adjust the hinges, making sure that the door leaf presses against the seals. After the first opening of the door, Remove the cardboard spacers. Check that the door leaf is correctly assembled. If necessary, make the required adjustments by tensioning the suspension cables. Installing the automatic drive unit. The door can be opened using an automatic drive unit selected to match its size and weight. The drive system includes a motor, a control panel, connectors, as well as optional photocells and other extra accessories. Begin the installation of the drive unit by bolting the installation plate to the drive gear. Slide the drive unit onto the shaft and bolt the drive unit plate to the frame. Use the steel key to connect the drive unit to the shaft and fasten the blocking ring. Mount the control panel near the door at a comfortable height. Use the power and control cord to connect the drive unit with the door control panel. All the connection diagrams are found in the instructions manual for the drive unit. Attach to the first panel the connection box and in it connect the optical strip. Then install the coil cable deflector. As a final step, correctly adjust the limit switches for the opening and closing of the door, and if necessary, program any additional functions. Before programming any functions of the drive unit, unblock the drive unit and partially open the door. Now block the drive unit again and connect it to the power supply. Operate the door to test its functionality, making sure the opening and closing directions correspond to the correct buttons on the control unit. If the opening and closing directions are incorrect, disconnect the power supply and change the motor spin directions. Now program the top limit position for the open door. Then program the door's bottom limit position, making sure that the seal presses against the floor. Program the remaining functions of the control unit according to the instructions. To ensure trouble-free operation of the door, grease the springs, hinges, rollers, tracks and cable tensioner. The recommended lubricant is indicated in the installation and operating instructions.